On episode 49 of Chit Chat, we talk about some of the things that distract us from board games. Whether it's the next big movie or our favorite video game, there's plenty to get excited about. But then there's something that hits the table to pull us all back in. Welcome back to Chit Chat. This is episode 49, and we are going to talk today about things that excite us. And before you go off with a dirty mind there, not that sort of thing, we are going to talk about other things, including board games, but some other things that we get excited about. Mm-hmm. And maybe you can tell us in the comments what you get excited about. This is starting to sound really awkward and uncomfortable.
Clean, people.
But before we do any of that, we're going to talk about who won last time. They're going to get excited.
Right. So Wayfinders goes to Carrie Schneider. Just email us at manvsmeeple@gmail.com to claim your prize. And this week we're giving away 2 games, Jetpack Joyride and Time Chase. So make comments below and you're entered to win. All right, who's starting?
Yeah, who is starting with this topic? Who wants to touch this
right
topic?
Now I'm really excited about. By the time you've watched this episode, BlizzCon has already happened. And I know there's a lot of controversy about Blizzard out there right now.
Really? Do tell.
Right. But for those who don't know, outside of gaming, I am a huge Overwatch fan. So right now, during this convention, they're talking about Overwatch and the future of Overwatch.
Overwatch 2, right?
Overwatch 2.
Yeah.
Which is something I'm very excited. I mean, probably more excited than anything I am in board gaming, actually. Like,
you're fired.
Maybe I am. But they also, to tie this in, they also just announced Overwatch Warcraft Small World.
Yeah.
Which was another thing announced at BlizzCon, which is kind of cool.
Nice tie-in, Ryan.
I like Small World a lot, but it's a game I don't play anymore. I've kind of moved on past Small World.
I've never played it. Is it worth playing?
You've never played Small World?
No, I remember seeing it back in the day when I used to
wow.
go into the game stores before I was in the hobby, but I've never played it. It looked intriguing, but then I've always heard it's kind of like I'm kind of maybe beyond that at this point, and it's maybe not worth playing.
There's still a lot of interesting gameplay there.
I saw that announcement too, and I felt like it gave me a reason to try it anyway.
Yeah. And potentially Diablo 4. We'll see.
It's got to be announced. They already leaked the art book for it, and there's been some other images that have been leaked online. That's the one that gets me interested from Blizzard, because I'm
Diablo 4.
I love Diablo.
Played Diablo 3
I'll be really excited. If you can't tell, video games is one of the things all of us get excited about. We've been playing a lot of them lately, but yeah, Diablo 4. I'll be interested and excited to see what they do with Diablo 4, because there's been plenty of other games that have come out. You mentioned one to me recently, the Children of Orta.
Children of Morta.
Morta.
Yeah.
And it
does some very interesting things with the leveling up system, and the generational system in that game.
So that game does sound pretty cool.
So yeah, I'd be interested to see what they do. Speaking of video games, there's 3 video games that have me super excited. Last of Us 2.
Yep.
Which I think
just got pushed.
I'll play.
Did you see that?
But about a month, right?
Not very long. May, I think.
Last of Us 2. What are the other ones? Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh yeah, you're a huge Baldur's Gate
which I love
fan,
Baldur's
right?
Gate, and then Cyberpunk 2077, which is Project CD Red.
Like I said, we all get excited. I think you get probably more excitement for more games than any of us.
Oh yeah, I play a lot of video games.
Like Jeremy, once a game comes out, his excitement goes down for that, and he's already excited for the next one for sure. I mean, we all are that way to some degree for sure.
So
I got excited for Luigi's Mansion too, and I'm playing that, and that game is awesome.
We were teaching a game the other day, and he's there, I'm listening, playing Luigi's Mansion. He was being that guy. But it does look cool. I've never been a Luigi's Mansion guy.
Is this the 3rd Luigi's Mansion?
It's the 3rd one, yeah.
Wow.
It looks amazing,
It's
too.
pretty. It's very pretty.
It looks amazing, too. So, on the topic of video games, I can't think of anything off the top of my head that's coming out that I'm excited about, but there's a game I've been playing that I'm excited to talk about, and that is called Lonely Mountain Downhill.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you've been talking a lot about this.
It is so addictive. I mean, this is not a AAA game. This is a like $20, maybe $15, $20 game. I think it's on PS4 and other platforms. I'm playing on PS4. This is a game where you're on a bicycle and you're basically going down a mountain, and it's one of those games where then you have to figure out the path. You have to sort of master it.
It's all timed, right?
And then on top of it, you unlock challenges and like, now do it in 2 minutes or less. Now do it in 1 minute 55. And to do that, you don't have to just get better at going fast and taking the same turns. You have to find shortcuts. And there are shortcuts all over the place. Like, some of them are just crazy. And, like, literally it recreates... You ever see those guys on mountain bikes where they're, like, going on and, like, hopping down edges on a mountain? Not riding, but literally, like, manipulating it. you have to do that on some of the shortcuts, and it really shaves off like massive amounts of time, and it's so addictive.
You saying that just made me realize something about myself I've never realized before. Those type of games that are timed, I've never liked in video games. But I also don't like race games, which also have a timing mechanism with board games. I wonder if those two are correlated
Not
for
even
me.
like Mario Kart?
Probably.
No, I don't like games where it puts a time restriction on me. I like to explore.
Is it the
Oh, I
stress?
see.
It's the stress from it, for sure. I mean, I think that's probably the big
Any
thing
kind
for
of
me.
time, any kind of game where you have like an hour to do so.
It is.
Yeah,
it
it's
is
super stressful.
And it is. And by the time you're like at the
Sweaty
end of the thing, you're like,
palms.
oh my
Yeah.
God. And you're excited when you've done it. And then if you get to the bottom of the mountain and you're like 2 seconds behind where you needed to be, you want to turn the machine off. And then but I turn it right back on and I go at it again. But anyway, that's a game I've been playing, video game wise. You've been playing some video games too, I know, because we played some Borderlands not too long ago.
I've just been playing Borderlands.
Are you still?
We actually got you to buy a PS4 for
so I
Borderlands.
could play with you guys. Yeah,
know.
yeah. I have an Xbox. I just my friends that play on Xbox play at a different speed than I do generally, and so I wasn't sure. And I always feel like they like to play exactly in order together, and I don't
kinda that way,
necessarily need that. So you guys bounce on, we play whatever, and I leveled up super fast. So that was nice. I haven't played it much
Have
lately.
you guys not played recently?
Spiel put a big hamper on our ability to play, so we
Yeah.
were gone for like a week and a half, and then just all the the videos.
Although we
and the
talked
games we
about
were
it a
playing.
lot while we were gone.
You got to get back on it.
'Cause of the
Alicia and I
Halloween
jumped on
stuff.
last night and did the Halloween
Yeah.
mission against this big creature. It was awesome.
Really?
It was
Yeah.
super hard.
I was just talking about that
Super
the other
hard.
day.
Interesting.
So. No, I mean, there's nothing video game wise that I'm like getting super hyped for. I'll just, if something comes up that sounds fun to play with the group, I'll probably just play it. I'm more excited about the latest Star Wars stuff coming because I always want more Star Wars. So I'm never sad when there's more Star Wars coming out. So we've got The Mandalorian.
That looks insane.
In like a couple weeks,
Like
Yeah.
next
right
week.
around the corner.
In fact, by the time this airs, it's like less than a week away, probably.
Oh, I thought it was next week. Oh.
I think the 11th,
It's
right?
still 2
November
weeks.
The
11th?
12th, I think.
Oh, okay, so yeah, just a little over a week away. And then
Rise of Skywalker.
yeah, The Rise of Skywalker. So, and I know there's been some controversy with the other Star Wars stuff, but there'll always be more Star Wars. So right now I've got some on my horizon. I'm very excited. I get all worked up when I see the commercials and stuff, and I like, oh,
That latest
epic.
trailer for The Mandalorian
Looks incredible.
looks
Yeah.
fantastic.
And if you like Star Wars, you got to play the Star Wars game on PS4. It's coming out in
Yeah.
2
Oh,
weeks.
yeah.
The
Yeah,
same day
you
as The
guys brought that up.
Mandalorian.
that
Yeah,
actually looks
so
really
That
good
looks
too.
really good.
It's getting some mentions for Game of the Year
Yeah.
very early, so people are loving on it.
I
Yeah,
love
so
that. What was it,
it's
the
definitely
Force-
one that I'll play.
Force
It's a
Unleashed?
matter of, for me, with the video games, I like to have somebody to play with. I don't just
multiplayer.
Yeah, I don't tend to just get on and play them by myself anymore, just because I jump on, jump off most of the time. So
Yeah, it's better to do that when it's a game you can sort of get in and out.
yeah.
A game like The Last of Us, you kind of get sucked
But
into that.
that'll
Yeah.
draw me in because it's Star Wars. So
So
yeah.
the other thing about The Mandalorian, since we're on that topic, did you guys hear that's not going to be bingeable? It's going to go week to week. So one a
Like
week.
Game of Thrones.
Oh, interesting. I hadn't heard that.
Which I kind of personally, if I'm the guy running the show, I think that's the way I'd want to do it too, because you get that sort of like conversation going on during the week about the episode, whereas when something's bingeable, people are consuming that completely different times, so you don't keep the conversation alive. I mean, think of Game of Thrones, or even other shows in the past where every Monday everyone was, at work talking about that episode.
Depends on the show for sure.
It does.
It depends too on if the series is going to be extended past this first season. Like Lost had several seasons. The same thing with Game of Thrones had 8 seasons. If this is just a one and done Mandalorian, I would rather just binge it and be done with it than doing the week to week.
I could be
like-
wrong, but I think they've said that they've signed a second season of it, but I don't know.
I think there's probably plenty to explore there in that universe, and
Yeah.
so there's no reason why they couldn't do a couple of seasons. But I don't know. I tend to like to watch a couple of episodes at a time because I always want a little more than one episode, but I don't necessarily need to do all of it in one sitting. And that goes for bingeable shows as well. Like I'll watch those typically over the course of a week, unless I just happen to have a very wide open Saturday or something.
What about other movies besides the Star Wars ones you guys are interested in?
I was going to say, like, in general, just everything that's coming with the Disney streaming service, I'm excited about. They have some really cool movies coming out. They have some really cool TV shows planned for that. I mean,
Disney basically had the money to go in and say, yeah, we're doing it at $7 and to get everyone on board. It is very appealing. Other movies, you know what? I really
Can't think of anything?
I can't think of anything on the horizon except for Rise of Skywalker. I'm excited to see what they do. Like I've said before, I'm a huge JJ fan, and I really do have faith that he's going to sort of pull it together. And that's not to say I didn't like The Last Jedi. I actually liked that all right. I do think there's some things that I didn't like about it. And I preferred The Force Awakens. And like I said, I think JJ's, my hope is they'll knock it out
Good
of the
old
park.
JJ.
Yeah.
I'm a JJ guy. I'm a total fanboy for JJ Abrams.
I've got one movie that's either going to make me sound really cool or really lame. And I love this series growing up. It's Bill and Ted's.
Oh, yeah.
This is the new one coming out.
No, that's not lame.
It's
That's
gonna be
fun.
great.
That'll be fun.
I loved that.
I'll be really interested. I like to see Keanu Reeves. The other guy is not obviously as popular these days, but Keanu Reeves, he's gotten into this phase in his life where he seems to be
Cool.
not taking himself seriously.
Yeah.
He's very cool. Like, he just seems at ease
Right.
with
Yeah.
himself, and it makes him a far more charismatic person, and you want to watch him. He goofs on himself, and I think that'll be the perfect movie to
Yeah.
see
I
that.
think when you're John Wick, it comes with a certain amount of confidence.
Well, yeah, you'll see. What's crazy is there's a lot of younger people who don't know Bill and Ted's that well.
That
Or
is
even the
insane.
Matrix.
He is John Wick,
Right.
maybe Neo.
Right.
You know, that's the character. To see him in Bill and Ted's is going
Right.
to be a very interesting thing for them.
And then next year, of course, Marvel's coming back with the Eternals. This is kind of a deep breath for Marvel. Like, it's interesting to see how many people that were invested in that arc are going to come back for the next arc.
Yeah, I'm worried about Marvel, to be quite honest. Like, losing some of those main characters, like Chris Evans as Captain America, you know.
It's going to be a
Reboot.
challenge.
And Tony Stark, Robert Downey, like
Yeah.
those guys are such
Spoilers.
iconic people, you know.
been a
No,
while.
I mean it's not that they die or they live. That's not the point. The point is that arc of the series
Yeah.
is done. Those heroes have moved on, and now you have to find, you know, what's the next team? Is it going to be the X-Men?
Right.
Is it going to be the Fantastic Four? Someone has to step up and fill that void, and they don't have that right now.
And what's happening
their
with
current lineup.
Spider-Man?
Well, they
Even
did bring-
Spider-Man's not going to fill that void.
Because
No.
that was a roller coaster there for a second
Yeah,
too.
it was.
Comic book movies. Am I entertained? That is the most important thing for me.
Sure.
Am I
Here.
entertained? And then the rest of it's kind of like, okay, cool. Like, it wasn't the best, it wasn't the worst, but I was really entertained the whole time. Cool. You know, Suicide Squad. I waited till way after the fact to watch that, so my opinion of it was like down here.
That's not a bad
So when
strategy.
So when I watched it, I was like, oh, that was fun to watch. And I was fine with it. It wasn't like, oh man, it just completely ruined all my expectations because, you know, everybody else ruined my expectations. So by the time I watched it, I was just entertained and it was good. I mean, like, I enjoyed it for what it was, and then I moved on.
Let's move on to board games. What has you excited in the board game realm?
Well, I mean, Essen just happened. You guys brought a ton of great.
There's a lot of
games.
hotness to be excited about.
Yeah.
I got to play Marco Polo 2, which is one that I was super excited about, so I'm glad I got to play that. But Maracaibo, am I pronouncing that right?
Maracaibo.
Maracaibo is probably the one game that I am most excited to play right now. I
You
want
should
to
be.
play that game
I think it's
so badly.
right there.
I think it's a
You
top.
should be excited about it.
It's on top of the hotness list, I think.
So we did play Maracaibo, and it was really good.
Yeah.
There's a
Incredible.
lot of stuff going on in that game. Like, those people are interested, it is basically all of Pfister's games rolled up into one, with even a little bit more complexity. Not in how you play the game, because it's very simple. Like, once we started playing the game, it was simple. But the teach of the
Was an
game
hour.
was 50 minutes. Yeah.
I see the board. There's just
Oh, man.
icons all
Yeah.
over.
There's a lot of stuff to know.
And it was not, our teacher was fantastic.
Yeah.
We had a great teacher, and it was just a lot to
Just
teach.
a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it wasn't, nobody
Some
was
games are
interrupting
like
her. I mean, that was a concise 50-minute teach
Wow.
for that
It
game.
can probably be condensed, but it's a lot of game.
Is there a way of teaching it, like teach play, as you?
No, because you
No.
really need to know what you're doing. Like, there's a
Wow.
lot of steps that you have to take, and the actions that you use, the cards you're trying to manage to the game, and your in-game goals. Like, if you don't start that process early, you know, a round of the game is going to set you behind.
For sure.
So,
But
What
can
about
only do
you?
it at once.
yeah, I have a couple games here that I wanted to mention. Number one was Ankh. We got to see painted miniatures of that. We got to see a more final version at Spiel. This is a 60-minute or less game.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know how
Oh,
much I can
Eric's
actually
tightened
say
it
right now,
way
but I'll
up.
try to keep this
Yeah.
spoilery free. But it is a very unique area control game from Eric Lang, which is the third in the series, and that one has me super excited. The last one I'll talk about is Tainted Grail. Again, this is a game that we've had for a little while. We did a preview of this 6-8 months ago. It is a very neat adventure campaign game as well. The miniatures are insane. I love that it is a adventure game that doesn't use dice. Like all the combat's done with cards, and you're stringing these cards along to do battle sequences, not only in the battles, but also the diplomacy, like how you're conversing with different people that you meet through the game. Those are also going to have a deck of cards that can be upgraded, of course, and use those to change the dialogue tree and to change the narrative to the game. So those games have me really excited right now.
I gotta say, I'm gonna talk about it because I don't think Jeremy would have ever expected me to play Marvel Champions that much, but just getting caught up in the hype, I bought a copy and soloed it, or he and I played, he kind of taught it to me, and then I soloed it 3 times in a row, like till the wee hours of the morning, until I beat it by myself.
Beat one, but which boss, Rhino?
I was just Rhino. It was just the easy one, and it just took some time getting used to, like, okay, what do I? It's like a puzzle.
It's like a language. It's like a different
you're
language.
really
you
like
have to
figuring
learn.
out, how do I best use this character? Because I hadn't had any experience with the characters other than Spider-Man, who's probably the most straightforward character, I think, out of the box. But I was playing with Iron Man, and you really had to play it differently. And that is the one thing I'm interested to see what they do. It is infinitely expandable. I'll be curious to see how fresh they're able to continue to make the mechanics with the different characters. Because there's a lot of characters,
Yeah.
but you can't have that many different mechanics. And thus far, I've been really surprised, like the way Black Panther works, where he uses his Wakanda Forever to fire off all of his cards, and Iron Man has to sort of build his suit, and it really thematically captures a lot about the characters in the mechanics, which is really cool. It'll be a tough order to keep that up.
I don't see any reason why they couldn't keep it going with Marvel and keep
we've
it
seen this
interesting.
formula used in games like Unlock and even Magic the Gathering, where the base mechanics are the same no matter if you're playing 20 years ago Magic or now Magic. But Magic over the past 20 years has evolved, and they're adding so many different layers to it now that people that played it 20 years ago may not initially recognize, but over a course of a couple games, they're going to find all these new elements to it that are different, but the core mechanic is the same. Same thing with Marvel. Like, it can be expanded. Lord of the Rings went through that same phase where the first 2 to 3 years were roughly the same game, and then they introduced a new designer to it, and it changed. It gradually changed into something a little bit different, although the base mechanic was the same.
One other game before you go that I want to talk about is an old game. This is not the hotness. I finally played one of my Shelf of Shame games, GAIA Project, last week. Twice. I played it with a small group, 3 players, and then I played it with Alicia, 2 players. And I see why, that game is where it's at. I think it's number 8.
It was my number 1 game of 2017, so...
Yeah, it's good. It's really good. And it makes me feel almost a little silly. In the past, when we've talked about games that have variable player powers, my go-to for describing that has always been Marco Polo, which clearly does have variable player powers, but not like these games.
Right.
Like it's like the king of that. The difference in how the different factions play is insane.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
For me, I mean, obviously Marvel, I haven't gotten mine yet. I did my stuff through Team Covenant so that I could sign up for all the subscriptions, because I don't want to have to think about getting it, and they just send it to you. So I'm a little bit behind. I haven't gotten all my stuff yet, so I'm having a little bit of FOMO of not having my own set right now. But additionally, I would say, obviously, I got my 4 elements physical elements, my advanced elements at Essen, and so I haven't broken them out yet. So I'm really excited to dive in and see how I can make all that stuff mixed together, because I got everything. I got all the new versions of everything. I got all the new stuff. I got the new mats, all of it. So I'm pretty excited.
Like in the United States, you're the number 1 spokesperson for this game.
Well, actually, I met the other U.S. spokesperson.
Oh, really?
He was like 10, and he worked. Which company
I don't know.
I know.
I remember you talking to him. I don't know.
Oh, he was awesome, and he was showing me all the cool stuff he was doing with the barriers. He was such a nice
Spiel?
kid. Yeah, it's Spiel. He was
awesome.
over there when I was getting all my stuff, and we were geeking out together. And they actually made a joke about us being their 2 U.S. ambassadors.
That's hilarious.
And so yeah. Then the other thing is something we saw at Spiel, which was this little storybook game that was really beautiful called
Olia or something.
I'm
I
gonna
don't
get the name
remember.
wrong.
We'll throw up a picture.
Yeah, for sure. It was gorgeous. It was this little card-based narrative game where you are making decisions, and based on the decisions, the cards are either going to the left or to the right. If they go to the right, they're going to be shuffled back in for the next chapter that you're going through. And you're managing some resources in order to complete the goal, in order to continue the story. You have to fight off an intimidating wolf. You have to make sure you have enough food, that you're freeing creatures who get caught. And it was a beautiful
Super
game.
clever game.
Yeah, very clever how it was put together. Something you could easily play with I think it was meant to be a solo game, but you could easily sit around and have a discussion with the family or some friends playing through it. We played it together. It was quite
fun.
quite
it was
nice.
Very, very fun.
Very cute. So I'm curious to see how, because we just got a short demo of it. So I'm really excited to see. That'll be, I think, on Kickstarter sometime next year. So
The one I'll talk about is Expedition to Newdale. It's from Lookout Games.
Oh, yeah.
It's the other Fister game that fewer people are talking about than Maracaibo, but equally as good. It is also a campaign game where you're going to be playing over multiple different games. It's got a bunch of different boards, so each time that you play, you're going to have a different board that you're playing on, different paths, boats, characters that give you variable player powers. It's super interesting. It's taken the Oh My Goods formula and made it into a board game. There's a lot of variability from one game to the next. So
Yeah, it definitely
totally dug
felt
it.
like Oh My Goods, the board game.
Oh, and I got it signed from Clemens Franz, which is
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
really?
a huge highlight
it's right
of the
behind
show.
your head.
Nice.
Yeah, is it?
Other
Yeah, it's
side.
up here somewhere. There it is, signed.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got
that's
to meet
awesome.
him. That was a huge, huge moment for me at Spiel.
That is
so.
pretty good. That's always fun.
Yeah.
Something to be excited about. Well, I think that's what we've been playing. That's what we've been excited about. Tell us what you've been excited about down in the comments. And one thing for sure to get excited about is our next episode, which is episode 50.
Yeah, so stay tuned to episode 50. I've already been working to get a lot of product from companies that we're going to give away during that show. I'm not going to announce them yet, but you'll want to stay tuned for episode 50. You'll want to make comments to win a giant prize. So that's all I'm saying for now.
That's the tease, just to keep you excited. So we will see you on the next episode of Chit Chat. Until then, follow us on Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff, and we'll talk to you later. Well, that's another episode of Chit Chat in the bag. Thanks for watching. If you want to check out another one, there's probably one right over here in the bottom left-hand corner, or probably your right-hand corner. Whatever corner, we have something to click on. So click on one of these things, and good things will happen.